Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on stratification and differentiation. In this video we're going to look at the work of Goldthorpe et al. On the affluent worker. Goldthorpe et al.'s research into the affluent worker is a seminal sociological study that examines the changing nature of the working class in post-war Britain. Conducted in the 1960s, this research aimed to explore the implications of economic prosperity on the lifestyles, attitudes and social behaviours of working class individuals, particularly focusing on a segment that had experienced significant improvements in living standards. In this video we're going to look at the methodology and findings of Goldthorpe et al.'s work. Their study emerged in the context of post-World War II economic boom, which saw substantial economic growth, increased wages and improved living conditions for many working class families. This period of prosperity led sociologists to question whether the traditional working class identity was being transformed by these new conditions. The primary motivation behind Goldthorpe et al.'s research was to investigate whether increased affluence amongst workers led to a convergence with middle class norms, thereby challenging the existing class structure. Goldthorpe and his colleagues employed a mixed methods approach, combining quantitative surveys with qualitative interviews to gather comprehensive data. The study focused on workers employed at Vauxhall Motors in Luton, a town known for its thriving automotive industry. This specific demographic was chosen because they represented a segment of the working class that had benefited significantly from the post-war economic growth. The researchers conducted in-depth interviews with workers and their families, supplemented by detailed questionnaires that covered various aspects of their lives, including economic conditions, lifestyle choices, political attitudes, and social aspirations. The finding of Goldthorpe's research revealed several important aspects of the affluent worker phenomenon. Firstly, economic improvement. The study confirmed that the workers of Vauxhall Motors had experienced considerable economic improvements. Higher wages, job security and access to consumer goods were key factors that contributed to their elevated standard of living. Secondly, home ownership and suburban living. One of the most notable indicators of affluence was the rise in home ownership amongst the workers. Many had moved from rented accommodations to owning their own homes, often located in suburban areas, and this shift represented a significant departure from traditional working class living arrangements and aligned more closely with middle class aspirations. And thirdly, consumerism and material comforts. The researchers observed that affluent workers had embraced consumerism, with many families owning cars, televisions, washing machines and other consumer durables. These material comforts were previously associated with the middle class and indicated a shift in lifestyle. Additionally, the affluent worker engaged in cultural and leisure activities. Goldthorpe found that affluent workers increasingly participated in cultural and leisure activities traditionally associated with the middle class. This included going on holidays, dining out and engaging in recreational sports. These activities reflected a change in how workers spent their leisure time and suggested a cultural assimilation into middle class norms. Another significant finding was the emphasis on education among the workers' families. Many parents aspired for their children to achieve higher educational qualifications and better job opportunities, which were seen as pathways to upward social mobility. This focus on education mirrored middle-class values and indicated a desire for intergenerational advancement. And finally, political attitudes. The study indicated a shift in political attitudes amongst affluent workers. Traditional working class support for Labour parties and collective action decreased, while there was an increase in support for conservative parties that promoted individualism and free market policies. This political shift suggested a move away from collective working class identity towards a more individualistic perspective. Goldthorpe's research had significant theoretical implications for understanding social class dynamics. Firstly, the Embourgeoisement thesis. Goldthorpe's findings supported the Embourgeoisement thesis, which suggests that increased affluence leads to the assimilation of working class individuals into middle class culture. The study provided empirical evidence of this process, showing how economic prosperity could transform social identities and behaviours. The research also highlighted the fluidity of class boundaries and the potential for social mobility. It challenged the notion of rigid class structures by demonstrating that economic improvements could lead to significant cultural and social changes within the working class. And the shift in political attitudes and emphasis on individual success suggested a move from collective class identity towards individualism. This had implications for understanding the changing nature of class solidarity and the factors that influence political and social behaviour. Despite its influential findings, Goldthorpe's research faced several criticisms and limitations. The study focused on a specific segment of the working class, skilled manual workers in a prosperous industry, and critics argued that the findings might not be generalisable to the entire working class, particularly those in less secure or lower paid employment sectors. Some sociologists contend that the research placed too much emphasis on economic factors as drivers of social change, neglecting other important aspects such as cultural identity, social networks and community ties that continue to differentiate the working class from the middle class. And the unique economic conditions of the post-war period were seen as a potential limitation. Critics suggested that the embourgeoisement observed might be a temporary phenomenon influenced by the specific economic and social context of the time. In contemporary society, the insights from Goldthorpe's research remain relevant but require a nuanced understanding. Economic conditions have evolved, with increasing income inequality, job precarity, and the rise of the gig economy challenging the stability of middle-class status for many workers. Modern sociological research often incorporates intersectionality, examining how class intersects with ethnicity, gender, and race to shape social experiences. This approach provides a more comprehensive understanding of how different groups navigate economic and social change. Goldthorpe's research into the affluent worker provides a critical framework for understanding the transformation of the working class in post-war Britain. It highlighted the impact of economic prosperity on social behaviours, attitudes and aspirations, suggesting a convergence between working class and middle class norms. Despite its criticisms and limitations, the research offers valuable insights into the fluidity of class boundaries and the dynamic nature of social stratification. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on stratification and differentiation, looking at the work of Goldthorpe et al. On the affluent worker. Thanks for watching.